A former prime minister, murdered inside his own house. No forced entry, no clear motive, and more than 30 years later, still no explanation everyone agrees on. This is not just a crime story, it's a question mark that followed Poland since 1992.
Here's what we know. Piotr Jaroszewicz and Alicia, his wife, lived in the quiet neighborhoods in Anin near Warsaw. One September morning, they were found brutally killed.
The house looked ransacked, drawers open, papers scattered, but in a strangely selective way. Some valuables were untouched, others were missing. Their rare stamp collection vanished, but jewelry remained.
The killers weren't in a hurry. Doors and windows were locked from the inside. No signs of forced entry, no screams, no witness. And what made investigators uneasy was the precision. Whoever did this knew the layouts, knew where to move, and knew how much time they had. It didn't look improvised, it looked practiced.
The violence was controlled and deliberated. Piotr was beaten and strangled with a belt. Reports suggest he may have been tortured. Alicia was tied and shot at close range with her own rifle. Even the family dog was incapacitated, likely with gas. Nothing about this fits a simple robbery. Every detail pointed in a different direction.
And that's where the theories begin, because this crime refuses to sit neatly in one explanation. Some call it a robbery, some call it revenge, some think it was political. Others think it was something darker, tied to secrets from the old communist system. Every theory explains something, none explains everything.
Here's the theory number one, a robbery gone wrong. Simple, but ignores how selective the ransacking was and how long the killer stayed inside. Theory number two, a personal revenge, but no credible suspect ever emerged.
Theory 3. Intelligence service settling all scores. Jaroszewicz knew things, and people, some didn't want remembered. Theory 4. A political hit tied to files that vanished during the early 90s. Each theory opens a door. Each door leads to a dead end. To understand why this murder became a national obsession, you have to understand the moment it happened. Early 90s, Poland was a chaos. The communist system had collapsed, but the new one wasn't built yet. Files leaked, files disappeared. Old networks didn't dissolve, they just swapped uniforms. New businessmen appeared overnight with fortunes no one could trace. Institutions were shaky. Public trust was brightly. People were learning almost overnight that the situation they relied on weren't built for this new world. So when the Jaroszewicz case broke, it plugged straight into that anxiety. The sense that the ground was still shifting under everyone's feet. So, when a former prime minister was found murdered and nothing about the scene made sense, people didn't see a crime. They saw a confirmation that the world around them was shifting in ways they couldn't see.
Over the time, the story stopped being about the victims. It became a mirror for Poland's fears.
For some, it proved old communist networks still had reach. For others, it captured the chaos of the 19th. For many, it was a reminder that truth was a luxury. It didn't fade because the case was solvable. It stayed because it symbolized everything the era left unresolved.
Psychologists call it closure need.
When information is missing, the mind fills the gaps, sometimes with logic, sometimes with fear. A solved case is a closed door, an unsolved one is a door left slightly open, and our brain keeps looking through the gap, especially in a country where so much of the past was hidden.
What often gets overlooked is that the Jaroszewicz case didn't just stay inside police files. It changed the people and institutions that touch it. In the early 90s, the investigation for prosecutors, journalists, and politicians to confront a reality most weren't prepared for. That parts of the old system were still alive, not officially, but through contacts, favors, and information networks. It wasn't just a murder case. It was a stress test for the new state. Journalists who dug into it kept running into missing files, retired officers who remembered too much, and people who didn't want to speak on record because they still felt watched. Police investigators admit years later that the case changed how they handle high-profile crimes. For some, it became proof that Poland needed better forensic standards. For others, it was a wake-up call about how fragile the new institutions still were. It even influenced how the media covered crime. Reporters realized this wasn't just sensational. It exposed cracks in the transition from communism to democracy. Every article became part crime reporting, part political analysis. And maybe that's the strange legacy of this case. It didn't just reveal a mystery, it revealed the limits of what the new system could explain.
Maybe that's why this story pulls us back in, not because we expected a new clue, but because mysteries like this remind us how much of history shaped by what never gets explained. Some cases give us answers. This one leaves a question.